The Papa Schro Knows podcast has finally returned. Chiefs Kingdom. Glad to be back, ready to cover the draft this week. We got our mock draft 3.0 coming in today, and I wanted to do this for the podcast. And we did the first two through articles on Substack. Probably going to put out another one, kind of summarize this, see where this kind of goes. We're going to get into it on the PFF mock draft simulator. But good to be back. Been a minute. Like I said, the sports world kind of been a little down, but on the downward spiral with football ending and baseball finally kind of beginning, but with the draft here coming up, had to get at least one more for the time being, football wise, more related. But looking to put out some more baseball content. I know I've been writing about it a little bit on Substack, so if you are here for the first time on YouTube, this is the first podcast being uploaded directly to YouTube with video. Of course, the backlog is here on YouTube as well. So if you want to go check out any of the older podcasts, you can check it out here on YouTube, as well as on Spotify if you're listening here, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you know the rest. So if you haven't, went over to Substack, papashowknows.substack.com. Check that out. I try to put out a few articles a month. My goal right now kind of around 5 or 6, but with the sports world being where it's at right now, not much of a NBA guy. I know the NBA playoffs are going on. Kind of watched a little bit of that while I was out of town, just because when you're in the hotel, all you got is basic cable, and so I did see a little bit of the NBA playoffs, which is very interesting, and I don't know. I can't quite keep up with the NBA anymore. But it is what it is. NHL is also going on their postseason as well. I've watched a little bit of that here and there, but not a huge hockey guy. So baseball and football, that's what you're getting here from your boy Papa Schro. And so diving into the draft right here in Kansas City at Union Station this Thursday night. Will be night one, round one of the draft. Kansas City Chiefs pick, of course, last at 31 this year, with the Dolphins forfeiting their pick. So, let's get right into it. Like, we have, I've talked about the draft. I've had a couple of mock drafts, and I'm going to kind of give you an idea just of the end. Yeah, I know I did a couple of different PFF drafts, and both of my first two articles that I put out, mock draft 1.0, mock draft 2.0. So going into that I kind of gave like just what I would like to see at the end of the article on the draft 2.0. 31, DeJuan Jones, tackle, Ohio State. 63, Isaiah Foskey, edge rusher out of Notre Dame. At 95, Kobe Turner, defensive tackle. 122, Marvin Mims, wide receiver, Oklahoma. 134, Zach Kuntz, tight end, Old Dominion. At 166, Wanya Morris, tackle, Oklahoma. Keaton Mitchell out of ECU, running back. 178, 217, Jadakiss Bonds, wide receiver out of Hampton. At 249, cornerback out of Northwestern, Cameron Mitchell. And 250 was a fullback out of South Dakota State, Hunter Lupke, I think is how you say that name. So, that's kind of like the last thing that I put out on the draft. Like, that was March 22nd I put that out. So, kind of just give you a feel for where I was at that time, about a month before the draft here. And so we'll get right into the mock draft simulator here for PFF. All right, so we got the mock draft simulator loaded up here on PFF. We're going to go a little bit slower, not going with the turbo, just to kind of get a feel, see what's going on in this draft, at least in the beginning, kind of see the flow of the draft. So, all right, so let's get right into this. And we got Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, 1-2 right out of the gate. I'm kind of going to go, I think I'm going to go top 15. We'll just kind of check out where everybody landed. Bijan Robinson at 15. That's a fascinating pick for the Jets. That's kind of wild, actually. You have Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson in the same backfield with Aaron Rodgers, of course, which, how did I not talk about that yet? Aaron Rodgers getting dealt to the Jets. Obviously is rumored. Well, figured it would happen right here close to the draft, and it happens just 3-4 days before the draft. It finally goes official. Packers moving up, getting a couple more picks. I can't remember 100%. I'll look that up before the end of the podcast and see exactly where we're or where the Packers, all the picks that they got out of the Jets. But I didn't think it was too crazy. I mean, obviously you're taking a big contract. Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to play in Green Bay. I don't know. It was a very interesting situation what panned out there. But going up to the top, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, as we said, going 1-2 to Carolina and Houston. Will Anderson Jr. going number 3, edge rusher out of Bama. Anthony Richardson going to the Colts, pick number 4. Interesting pick. Will Levis going down to the Raiders. I actually just started this and only did a 2-round mock draft, so we'll see how things go now. But that was flipped before. We had Levis go at number 4, and then Anthony Richardson going to the Raiders at 7. So I like how this unfolds. Jackson Smith and Jigba also went to Philly in that last one. Anyways, I'll let that go. Always make sure how many rounds you're picking. Anyways, so Christian Gonzalez at 8 out of Oregon. Let me go back up here and skip this. Number 5, it's to Seattle, Jalen Carter. Number 6, Devin Witherspoon, cornerback out of Illinois. Number 9, Tyree Wilson, edge out of Texas Tech. Peter Skoronski going number 11 to the Titans. Lucas Van Ness to the Texans as well. So they had a nice little haul here in the first 12 picks. New quarterback, new edge rusher. Nolan Smith, edge rusher to Green Bay. Of course, out of Georgia. Paris Johnson going to New England. Good pickup for New England. So we'll get to the rest of this first round, but Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. I mean, I kind of assume, I don't know. There's an outside shot that I think that Anthony Richardson could be pick number 1. I'd be kind of shocked, but I think there's an outside chance that happens. So let's resume this draft, kind of see where we go with the Kansas City Chiefs getting number 31. See a tackle come off the board there. We're still going to have DeJuan Jones here, and I think that's who I like with this pick. I think the possibility is a little more flexible at pick 63 for edge rushers, so I would like to see the Chiefs sure up that tackle spot, because you still don't have a right or left tackle depending on where you go. Jawan Taylor said he's ready to play either position. I believe that. So we'll just have to wait and see, but there's still a hole. Either way, there's still a hole on one of the sides. And that's just not something that you want with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes and, a chance to win a Super Bowl every year. So let's go to DeJuan Jones. Got to protect that quarterback. Here at 31, see where we go at 63. I don't know. I like Josh Downs going pick 50. Josh Downs is the one that I like. Foskey off the board, so we won't have him. Tuli Tuapulota. Lotu. My bad. Definitely butchered there. So this one's interesting. Sam Laporte is on the board here. This is where I would like to go edge. Obviously, it's a big need for the Chiefs still. And I think that's kind of where you got to go at 63, and I think Derek Hall's the guy. Ranked 87th, but I think Derek Hall is the guy here at 63. I kind of debated this out a minute ago in my nice little 2-round mock draft I had. I guess nice little practice, right? So other than that, at edge, I mean, there's not a lot for this position. Derek Hall's got a 3rd-round grade on him. We're right here, obviously 1 pick away from the 3rd round, and I don't think that it's a bad idea. That's what the Chiefs need. And they need depth there at edge. And obviously the pass rush has been an issue. It seems like every year that Patrick Mahomes has been the quarterback. This last year, I mean, when we got towards the end of the year and the Chiefs were, I think, second in sacks to the Eagles, who they beat in the Super Bowl, I was almost shocked just to realize that the Kansas City Chiefs were actually second in, getting to the quarterback, sacking the quarterback at least. But so we're going to go Derek Hall. Derek Hall out of Auburn, pick 63 from the Kansas City Chiefs. This will be Friday night, so I think it's just round 1 on Thursday night, round 2 on Friday night, and then the rest of the round Saturday, Sunday. I could be mistaken. Shout out to if you're getting out to the draft. Let me know in the comments if you're getting out to the draft this weekend at any point. Me personally, I don't think that I'm going to get out there. There's too many people, too big of a crowd for me in a small space. I don't think that it was planned out very well. That's just my personal take, just of where it's at. So now, kind of looking at this pick right here, I like the interior possibility. I think the Chiefs kind of still have a hole in the interior, and I think the defense, mainly for the defense, I think that it's a lot of depth issues, thankfully, which is, I think a good thing, because I think you kind of got your feel. I mean, on the edge, you got Karlaftis, and I know that there's I think Michael Dana is still, obviously Dunlap's a free agent. So I don't know. You definitely need some help at edge. We definitely need some depth there. I don't think that it's unreasonable to think Frank Clark won't be back. He still hasn't signed anywhere. I don't think that it's unreasonable that Frank Clark won't be back. Just the way he spoke about Andy Reid and, the relationship he has with them, I think that there's definitely and the role that he fulfilled in 2022 and, working, after practice with George Karlaftis and doing the things he did, really stepping into a leadership and mentor role for George Karlaftis, I think was awesome to see. And like I said, I just don't think that, I'm not 100% sure if we've seen the end of Frank Clark in Kansas City. On a side note, the day that they announced him, I got my Frank Clark Super Bowl jersey in the mail. So the day that it was announced that, they couldn't come to terms on a new deal and they had to release him, it was an interesting, bittersweet day there. If you know me, I'm a huge Frank Clark fan. I love Frank Clark, love everything he's done for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I don't think that the Chiefs win definitely the first Super Bowl, Super Bowl 54. I don't think they win that without Frank Clark. Frank Clark just played out of his mind in that postseason run. So right here, what I think that I'm going to do, I'm going to stay defense. And again, if you know me, you know that I'm a defensive kind of guy. I like the defense. I like leaning on the defense. So we're going to go Kobe Turner here. And I want to say that's what I had. I had him at 123 earlier. But I think that's where we're going to go here. So I think the defensive line, we're going to shore up a little bit right here. We now have Derek Hall, and we have Kobe Turner. So we got, one guy on the inside, got one guy on the edge. Seeing Carl Brooks go, that might not have been a bad pick. I like Carl Brooks for, kind of his versatility. I think you kind of move him on the inside as well, kind of maybe move him around, and especially, Spags, the way he kind of likes to manipulate the defensive line, I think could be a good fit for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll just have to wait and see. So here is an interesting pick at 122. I feel like these are the picks that really get confusing for me personally, just because I don't know where exactly you want to go with this pick if you're the Chiefs. Because right now we got a tackle in the first round. Second round, we got our edge. And now the third round, we went out and got an interior alignment. So we've helped out the defensive line, and we've got our A tackle. I think we need one more tackle at some point, and I think that can kind of come whenever. Though I do like Wanya Morris. I think that he would be a good fit for a swing tackle. I think he might already be gone, though, at this point. So at this point, we're kind of off into the tackles that we're getting low on the board. Yeah, 103. So the first pick of round 1, Wanya Morris went. So I think tackle, we can hold off for tackle. Now, Anthony Johnson Jr., I think, is an interesting one here from Iowa State that I think could help the Chiefs out again with depth in the secondary. Trying to think of exactly who we know is going to be there. We got Brian Cook and Justin Reed as your starter. I can think of DiCaprio Boodle maybe. Who else is out there and, not signing any free agents? I just feel like this is for this, where we're at in the draft, I don't think that it's a bad pick. Me personally, Ivan Pace Jr., I've mentioned him in both mock drafts 1.0 and 2.0, but I mean, I feel like he just leaps off the page. With signing of Danny Tranquill, though, I think that it's hard to kind of go with Ivan Pace here, but 134 if he's there too. I mean, I just feel like he's almost hard to pass up on. And then, what's the future of Willie Gay? I don't think that we really know. So having another guy that could be at that level, I think could be huge. I think that, and heavy on the defense in this draft, and I feel like I've been heavy on the defensive side of the ball in this draft for the most part. Real quick, I'm gonna flip over to this one. We'll scroll down, kind of look at this mock draft because the bottom's kind of my ideal that I kind of went over in the beginning. So 122 wide receiver, we have Marvin Mims. Let's kind of look at our board here and see where we've got where we're at in receivers. Kayshon Boutte, Parker Washington, Xavier Hutchinson, Jalen Moreno-Cropper still there on the board. I think this pick has to be defense. I think the next two might be defense, just to be 100% honest. Isaiah McGuire is a guy that I kind of like. I just don't know if I would like him enough to draft him. I didn't think that he looked great at the combine, 6'4", 268. Even in his, I want to say the pro day, watched quite a few one-on-ones, and I don't know. I just don't 100% feel like he is, I don't know, a guy to draft maybe at this point at 122. I don't know. It would sure up another edge. Kind of look at KJ Henry here too, that's still available, that I don't think is a terrible selection. 6'4", 251. So I'm not sold on Anthony Johnson Jr., and I feel like you still need more at the edge. I think it might be a little bit easier to help on the backside if you can find someone, and the Chiefs kind of have some guys in the secondary. Maybe something we come back to, but I think I'm going to go edge here. Let's go Isaiah McGuire. We'll go with the Homer Mizzou pick here. Pace going to Dallas in this draft. I like that. And again, so right here in this point in the draft, this is kind of a hard part to gauge. I feel like mainly 122, 134 for the Chiefs. Of kind of like, it's kind of a pick 'em. I think wherever you kind of feel, and me personally going to lean more so on the defense. And with Anthony Johnson Jr. still being there, I think that I think we're going to go ahead and take him. We're going to get some more depth in the secondary, another safety, another kind of local-ish pick, Iowa State guy. So let's see where we're at 166 now. So now is where we kind of got to start thinking, all right, we need to help the offense. Probably need to fit another tackle in here. Gonna need a receiver. Jalen Moreno-Cropper's still there. Keaton Mitchell, though, this is going to be the pick right here. Keaton Mitchell is the guy. I love him out of this draft. Super explosive running back. Really a lot of the critique on him that I've seen and just out of watching him is, he goes 150% every play, which is obviously not a terrible thing, but for a running back, guy his size, maybe not, 150% of the time you want to be given 150%. So, but I think the passing game, he can be used immensely in the passing game. And depending on what is going to happen with Jet McKinnon, a perfect guy to kind of throw in a role. Obviously, we know CEH probably isn't here past 2023. He'll be moving on in 24. So I think Keaton Mitchell is a great kind of guy to throw in the mix, get him introduced to the offense. Obviously, I don't think any running back is going to block like Jerick McKinnon did because, I mean, Jerick McKinnon turned Orlando Brown Jr. into a Pro Bowler, and that's no dig on Orlando Brown right there because, I mean, we've obviously went back and forth Chiefs Kingdom about Orlando Brown all year from the very beginning of the year. So no dig to him, but, I mean, that's just how good Jet McKinnon was. The latter half of the season especially. So Keaton Mitchell I love right here just because it gives you a little bit of, I feel like the Chiefs are all about kind of providing, what's the word? Not necessarily variety, but just comfort for all scenarios. It is kind of the best way I'd put that because at the end of the day right now, I mean, how many receivers are on the roster? I mean, maybe not. Obviously, not all those guys are going to make the team, but I mean, you have a pretty long list of receivers right now, and I don't think that it's that's another reason why I feel like I don't think that it's a huge deal to try to go up and get a receiver. Or, I mean, obviously, I'm in the D-Hop boat. I would love to see D-Hop in Kansas City, but I don't necessarily think it has to happen at this moment. It just depends what they do in the draft. I would like to see D-Hop. Keaton Mitchell is the pick here. I think he fits pretty good in the offense for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's where we're going at 166. We'll drop down to 178 and see what we got here. So now I think is the moment we kind of really want to look for a tackle. Possibly. I don't know. I don't love the tackles that are still out here. I think maybe you could wait a little bit longer possibly. So let's see what we have at receiver. Because I still think we need another receiver. So there's a few guys off this list that I like. Moreno Cropper is actually one of them that I do think would be a decent fit with the Kansas City Chiefs. But there's actually a few guys that I really like that I don't think are necessarily the Chiefs type of receivers. Jake Bobo's one of them out of UCLA. I think that he's a pretty solid pick, which, you can get him much later at this point. We're looking at 178. Matt Landers is another one, a burner, both of them big, tall guys. But Matt Landers down here out of Arkansas, and then Jadakiss Bonds, another guy, tall guy, not necessarily Kansas City Chiefs style of receiver, but I do think late in this draft, I always thought late in this draft was the best time for the Chiefs to kind of find receivers. I like Jackson Smith and Jigba, but there's no way I think the Chiefs can jump up to get JSN. And we saw, he went top 10, number 10 to the Eagles in this draft right here that we're doing. And so I don't think that that's realistic to get JSN. So I think the value for the Chiefs is late in this draft. Now, I did watch a live stream the other night. Ryan Tracy from RGR Football did. And he talked about moving down from 31 to 34 involving D-Hop and possibly getting D-Hop. And me personally, I'm all for the D-Hop boat. So right here, we're going to go ahead and grab our first receiver because I think that we got 4 picks left. So we're probably going to grab multiple. We're going to go Jalen Moreno Cooper out of Fresno State. Maybe it'll be another Devontae Adams. We'll see. We can dream, right? And, the way that I feel like the way that I've been kind of mock drafting this, I kind of think tight end kind of falls off the list. Tight end was something that I thought would be solid for the Chiefs maybe to kind of go out and try to get a tight end. But I don't think that it seems to be in the cards anymore, personally. So our guy out of Georgia is gone. So what we're going to do is we are going to go with, we're at 217, so I think this has to be tackle, I think, here. I think you just have to get your swing tackle right here. Trevor Reed, 6'5", 307. I mean, not a bad pick. Luke Haggard, I kind of liked him on from some one-on-ones that I watched of his. I kind of watched a little bit of his tape. So I'm going to go ahead and go Luke Haggard here. I know PFF's going to give me a terrible grade on that probably. Anytime I've drafted him, I feel like PFF's giving me a terrible grade on him. But, whatever. We're not here to please PFF. So we got our swing tackle. So now we're kind of freed up, I feel. I think we could go anywhere right here with this pick. These last two picks, 249, 250. So the Chiefs are going back-to-back with their picks. Obviously, probably could have waited on the tackle, which, is fine. Because right now, I feel like I'm not necessarily looking... I'm just looking to get who we want out of this draft. Bobo is still there. Landers is gone, which not surprising. Speed kills, man. And that guy's got speed. I don't really feel like there's any tight end worthy of taking here. I do like Zach Kuntz and talked about that in Mock Draft 2.0. But so I think with this one, I think I'm going to go ahead and let's look one more time kind of what we got out here at defensive side. Still got an edge. Mathis out of Nebraska. Got a couple interior linemen. I think I'm going to end this with back-to-back receivers. Let's look at Dubose. I haven't seen much out of him. Charlotte 49ers, 6'2", 201. All right, so I think I'm just going to go back-to-back. We're just going to go at the end of this, and I'm just going to get a couple of guys that I like. We're going to go Bobo, and we're going to go Bonds. And that's how we're going to end this thing. So we end up with 3 receivers. So even then, I mean, you got... Come out of here with a lot of depth at receiver. Maybe should have spent a little bit more in the secondary, but I don't mind having as much depth that we have at wide receiver if we go this route. And like I said, this is my personal mock draft. I feel like Kansas City Chiefs are not. I just don't feel like that's these receivers here at the end, Bobo, Bonds. Personally, I like them a lot, but I don't know how the Chiefs would necessarily value guys like that. Not necessarily fitting the Chiefs system 100%. So I don't love this draft, but I don't hate it. Pick 31, DeJuan Jones, Ohio State. That cures your left tackle. Edge, Derek Hall gives you a little bit of availability with man, what is the word? I can't think of anything. It's too late. But gives you some depth. That's the word I'm looking for. Depth. Derek Hall gives you some depth at edge, helps out. Kobe Turner gives you some more depth on that defensive line. Definitely going to help you out. We went 3 straight defensive line picks, 1 more edge. So we got 2 edges, got that cleared up. Isaiah McGuire out of Missouri. Got a safety, Anthony Johnson Jr. out of Iowa State, to kind of try to help us with, some depth in the secondary as well. Keaton Mitchell, I think, will be big time in the pass game. You got a guy that kind of maybe can fill that Jet McKinnon role, kind of take some screens. I think CEH is going to have a decent little role in this offense next year. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Jalen Moreno-Cropper out of Fresno State, another solid receiver. More of a fit to the Chiefs offense than the other 2 receivers that we got at 249 and 250. Luke Haggard, tackle. That'll be your swing tackle out of Indiana. And just give you some depth at tackle. Of course, you still got Niang. I think Kennard, they're trying to move into guard. So, and obviously the guards are shored up right now. Center, the interior, that this Chiefs line is maybe the best interior in all of football. Personally, obviously biased. But I think we all feel that way here in Chiefs Kingdom. Jake Bobo, Jadakiss Bonds. Last 2 picks, 249, 250. So you get 3 receivers, get a lot of depth there. Chiefs already have a lot of depth there. Maybe some practice squad guys, or maybe some special teams guys, more of what I was thinking in my head. But I don't know. We'll see. What do you guys think about a mock draft, or about this mock draft, your mock draft? Who are you taking with at 31? Are you trading up? What would you do if you were in Brett Veach's shoes Thursday night, right here in Kansas City at Union Station? So appreciate if you guys listened to the podcast, watched all the way through. On the YouTube, man, go over, like, subscribe, hit the bell, get notified to when I post. Definitely going to be trying to do some more things on YouTube and If you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever, go ahead and hit the like, rate the podcast, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know what I'm talking about. So, again, comment, let me know. What would you do? How would you grade my draft? PFF says it's a B+. I don't. I'd probably say around the same, maybe a little bit lower, a B. I don't love how the draft panned out, but since I've been, back in doing, these mock drafts more, I don't know. I just don't love where guys are falling for the Chiefs. So we'll see. We'll see what Veach decides to do if he decides to move around in this draft, who they want to go up and get. But I think obviously, as you can tell from my mock draft, the Chiefs, I think at receiver right now, it's not like the top priority. And I think a lot of fans feel like it is, but I think obviously you need to get at least 2 tackles, a couple of guys on the defensive line, and then see where the draft falls from there. So, with that being said, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time here, Papa Schro Knows Podcast.